Hello everyone. In the last video we have seen some of the React lifecycle like component did mount or component did update. In this video we're gonna see how to use those lifecycle in the functional component as a lifecycle hook. So we call it if effect hook. So effect is nothing but different types of syntax where we can use all the lifecycle like component did mount or component did update in the functional component. So one of example we can see here is like we import this useEffect, and then inside this useEffect we write all these things we need, and we close it up, and then we can use those in the variable like this. And there are different approach version of this useEffect hook. So one of version is this, when we don't pass anything and this is similar to component did mount and component did update. So we can see an example on this whole thing in a separate component which we created in the last video. So previously we had this structure of the file. Let's say we create one new file called hook example, and we can just copy the whole thing. And if we just import this in our main component, we see that every time we click on this it gets reloaded. So how it works is we have this button which have a on click event, and we set the state. Set state is nothing but another types of hook which called use state, and initially it accept two argument. One is like initial value and the value itself and the setter of the value. This one is the initial state we set to 0, and every time we update this, so it work like component did mount and component did update types. Every time we update this, we update the component itself. So document.title equal to something like this, and then we have this count here. Okay, so this update in the title as well, this update in the component as well. So there are other version also which we can see, right? Let's see. Same thing can be done in component did mount and component did update. So that's the example of the same thing using the class component. So we will have we have other way also to define it, right? So let's see. So we have other state, right? Component will unmount and component did mount, and any changes component did change, something like this, which also we can do using useEffect. So what we can do is like we can do the cleanup from the return of this, something like this. We assume that this is something API which we are calling from our backend, and we do all the functionality here itself, and we can do the cleanup on the return. This will gonna run on the same as component did unmount, something like that. So there's another way also we can do. So for example, we can pass here as a argument, and this way this will run only during the initial load of this. So if we click now, if we run this, but we see that the click is not updated because here we are updating only when at the runtime. If we put here 10 and we run this, we see that this is a 10, but every time we update it doesn't update. But however, if we put the count as a parameter here, so this will update every time the count variable is updated. We can test it. So if we update, you see this values is getting updated. So we can pass n number of argument in this array, and any values in this argument is getting updated. it will also run this whole thing function whatever we write. So we can test it like log value of something. So let's say we have another variable val set, let's say test, let's say we put it 0, and every time we have this value we can do something similar. We can have another button, click me change set val. So similar to that. So now if there is any changes on the val itself, this will change the, or count itself, this will run again. Now what we can do is, like, instead of changing the count from here, we can change the count here also, right? So set count plus 1. Now we can set the, if we see, okay, something is wrong. Okay, we can set here the val, so these are not required anymore. So let's see. So it is getting updated every time, see the state, but is because is running on an infinity loop, it seems. So because this count is getting also updated, right? We can remove the count here, so we can update and see these values is updating. Now we can set n number of parameter in this array, and we can test it with it. It will also work. So that's it for this video. I would really recommend you to go through this page on the effect. This is pretty well documented for all the thing we needed to learn about the hooks. So this is the one I give example. Every time run only effect, if count got changes, we can pass any number of value here. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you want to learn anything specifically. I will try to update the video on that, and please do subscribe. Thank you. See you on the next week on the ReactJS video.